Hi, welcome to Mental Matters on Open Studio. My name is Frank Malaba. Today I'm speaking to Warren Cornelius and Robin Williams. We're talking about substance addiction, and I wanted to welcome you both and say, fantastic, I'm looking forward to learning from you. The first thing that I want to find out from you is substance addiction. Is that regarded as a mental illness, or is it regarded as something else? Because I think a lot of people don't understand how it works.
Yeah. So thanks for having me on. I think substance addiction is definitely it has a mental illness part to it. The part is that all substance addiction, all addicts in general, there's a level of obsessive compulsiveness in any addiction. It's obsessively and compulsively thinking about ways and means to get more drugs. That's what it is, or whatever your substance of choice is. Yeah.
Robin, when did you find out that you were battling with something like that, or that this was a challenge for you in your life?
I think for me it was a very slow and long progression. I started at a very young age. I started at about 14, 15. But it was only maybe 10 years later when I started working and I started losing jobs that I had maybe some sort of idea that, I'm not experimenting anymore. Like I've become dependent on the substance. And as you get older, like the consequences become bigger. So you start seeing that actually your life is becoming a bit unmanageable and that you're not able to function without having something to use or the drug that I was using. And so I would say maybe about after like 10 years of using, did I begin to think I had a problem, but I still continued. So it was only about in the last 2 years of my active addiction that I decided to look for help and decided to do something about it.
So Warren, take me through the time, from the time that you discovered, there's something going on here, right up to the time that you thought, let me actually call somebody and let me get somebody to help me with this.
Yeah. So my addiction started at a very young age, and it was also very progressive until I reached a point where I didn't start up as being with all the damages, with all the prisons and those kinds of things. But it started off with me being just a normal person in society, like a working person. I had a corporate job. I knew I was an addict, but I didn't know what to do about it. How I could solve my addiction. How I could address my addiction. That's because of the stigma that was attached to the addiction. I felt like I was very ashamed of being an addict. I felt like a failure. And it took me a long time before I lost everything, and it was the fear that I had. I was so fearful of what my life would be like without drugs, because I was so dependent on drugs. It reached a point where I had to use every day to be able to get out of bed in the morning.
Wow.
And I was, yeah.
So for what I need to understand is, a lot of people have this conception that drugs are just something that you wake up one day and you're like, I'm going to have that, and I just want to be on a certain high and I want to do this. It's not as simple as that, is it?
No.
Can you walk me through that that process? Maybe Robin, you can chip in as well. But walk me through that. What are the different loose ends that tie into what then becomes, an addiction disorder?
It's different for everybody. I think for me, it started out as just something to take the edge off, like something to experience a different type of feeling or a different version of myself. So I would take a substance and I'd be more talkative, for example, because maybe I was a bit socially awkward. And so it started out like that. And then something dramatic can happen. Like it can be anything from the first breakup, which was in my case, or it can be something much more serious. But once that first traumatic experience happens, you now know that there's another way that you can deal with life. You can actually run away from it, and there's a way for you to escape from life. And then you start using the substance to suppress your emotions because you know that is available, or you've been using it in the past, to first will escape yourself, and then you use it to escape life and life situations. And from there on, once you started using it to suppress what you feel based on a traumatic experience that you've had, then it becomes like you become a little bit more dependent on it. So then the moment you don't have it anymore, it's harder for you to actually come back to reality and be in reality as it is. You're always looking for another way to escape what your current circumstances are. And so that is what you're chasing.
Mm-hmm. Is it the same experience?
Well, for me it was a bit different. For me it was a deep desire to fit in with my peers, to fit in with what my peers were doing at the time. I also had had a very low self-esteem, and it's like insecurities and so on. So when I picked up my first substance, just to be able to fit in with my peers, it gave me that confidence. It took away that anxiety and all the those kinds of things. And that's the reason why
and then
I started.
it suddenly became this safe space for you mentally, and a space that you could find another version of yourself. So if you're at home and you're watching and you'd like to get in touch with us, we've got an email address that's on your screens right now. It's mentalmatterscourage@gmail.com. And also, another thing is, as we talk, there might be some triggers. We might mention certain words that trigger something, or that refer to somebody that you know that's going through something. There's a number that will appear on your screen. We encourage that you call that number, and there'll be somebody on the other side that is able to assist you. And we also have a Facebook page that you can go to. It's Mental Matters, and it's showing on your screen right now. And you will be able to go on to it. We shall see you on the other side of this. You're back with us on Mental Matters and on Open Studio. Today I'm with Warren and Robin, and we are tackling the issue of substance addiction. I'd like to go into issues of stigma, because that's a big one. I think one of the biggest ones that a lot of people battle with, because marrying the two, the issue of substance addiction and mental health, is a struggle for a lot of people. I think there's a lot of education that needs to happen, because when people talk about substance addiction, it's always on a different level. You never hear issues of mental illness attached to it. What are the stigmas that you have faced in your life?
I mean, for me, it was it's the fact that when people think about a substance addict or a drug addict or alcoholic or whatever, they think of somebody who's on the street, who's at that level of their addiction. But addiction isn't like that. Addiction is a progressive illness, so it doesn't necessarily start. Nobody picks up their first drink or drug and thinks to themselves, I'd like to be on the street and I'd like to be hustling for money and things like that. Everybody's like, we're just normal people in society. So I know doctors, lawyers, health professionals, in every sector of society. There's addicts in every sector of society. And the problem is when people think about it like non-addicts, they think about the drug addict on the street, and they tend to think about when you address or you identify yourself as an addict, they think you're going to steal the bag, or they have to watch what they leave around you, those kinds of things. But that's the end point of an addict. That's one of the end points. It's not the entire progression.
So it's important to note that those stigmas are quite damaging.
Yeah.
For people that battle substance addiction, but also it's not bringing anything forward. It's like if we're stuck in that mindset, people are just going to keep thinking that to be an addict, you've got to be on the street. So in the workplace, is it an easy thing to talk about, Robin, for example?
It's not really, no. It depends. Like, obviously, when I was like in active addiction, I'm in recovery now. So when I was in active addiction, it was something that I would never tell anybody. I'd maybe if I got close to one person, then maybe I would tell that person, because I just needed to let someone know that I'm struggling. But it's not something that I would have wanted everybody to know. And now I'm in recovery. Luckily, I work in an industry where it's okay for me. They know, yes, and so I'm comfortable. But I mean, even in recovery, a lot of us would choose not to really say anything about it because of the stigma attached you know, you feel already ashamed that you've allowed your addiction to progress to a certain level, and the way people view you is unfortunately different once they know that you've been an addict or that you were in active addiction.
So what are the steps that one would take? So just loosely as advice, say I'm struggling with an addiction. What are the steps that one could take to tell somebody that they trust, that they know has got their back? What's one of the things that one could do, say, for me, if I'm battling that sort of addiction?
The steps you could take to let people
To
ask
let
for
people
help,
know
basically.
that you trust, yeah.
Okay. The first thing is to admit to yourself that you're an addict, that you need help, and then you can seek help from somebody. There's lots of public facilities available to treat addiction these days.
Okay. So when it comes to issues of finding people that understand, is there an easy online access on Facebook? Is there a page that a person that's probably not seeking treatment can find as a way to kind of find their way and journey into a treatment facility or a group that encourages treatment? Are there ways and avenues online that people can follow?
Well, I'm sure there are lots of treatment facilities available, as well as social media pages and things like that. But I found recovery through a 12-step program, and that's
Okay.
yeah.
How does that work? How does a 12-step program work?
So it's basically you attend, you belong to a 12-step fellowship, so you will attend meetings where you discuss, we actually meet up with people that are also in recovery, that have also experienced different levels of pain in addiction, and it's just basically a support. It's like a support network that you have. So you go to meetings and you do a 12-step program. Where you begin to work on yourself and the underlying behaviors that led to your addiction or to the symptom of you using in the first place.
So it's identifiable, and then you can see it when it comes on. So the area that I live in has got quite a few people that are homeless and on the streets, and some of them are visibly addicted to something or taking something. What are the ways that I, as an individual that goes past that place every day, what are the ways that I can help a person that's in that situation? If you've got any advice for me, because I think mentally I go into a space of stigma, even though I don't want to readily admit it. There's a part in you that you're scared to make eye contact, and because that's visible, right? How can I help myself and help that person to become more visible and to seek help that can get them better?
I think the first most common misconception with non-addicts is that they feel that addiction, you don't know, people who are addicted have a lack of willpower. That's what most non-addicts think. But there is no amount of willpower you can use to conquer addiction. And
Exactly.
I mean, we've tried willpower. I mean, I've tried personally many times. I've tried to will myself with tears in my eyes in the bathroom mirror every Sunday night, telling myself, tomorrow will be my last day. You know, this is my last day. Tomorrow when I wake up, I'm never going to use it again. But I was not able to do it. Doesn't matter how much I willed myself, I could not do it. But for somebody who's a non-addict and seeing someone else over there outside that's an addict, all you can do is offer them help. Offer them these are the places to go to. These are the public health facilities you can go to. But it's up to an addict to decide
themselves
when they are ready. And the turning point is because using drugs becomes a painful experience after a while. And the turning point is when the pain of using becomes greater than the fear of not using. And that's the turning point.
I'd like to close it on that note. When the pain of using becomes greater than the pain of
the fear of
not using. We shall be back on the other side, and we are talking about substance addiction. I'm with Warren and Robin, so we'll continue this after the break. Welcome back. The show is Mental Matters on Open Studio. We are still talking about substance addiction, and I'm with Warren and Robin. This is one of the most exciting parts for me. I've become like a little child. It's always good learning. I'd like to hear from you what your life hacks are that you use. being people in recovery, that when you feel, I don't know if it still comes through and you really need to have, what's that life hack that you use to not slip back into the space that you don't want to be in?
Okay, for me, my life hack is, and I don't know if I can call it a life hack, but it's I've reached a level of like self-awareness and self-acceptance. So I have a deep understanding of my own assets as well as my own shortcomings or my liabilities in life. And when I have this deep understanding of my own personality, I can see, I don't judge others, you know what I mean? And I have a sense of humility. And that for me is the greatest life hack, basically.
Robin?
For me, you know, for me it's more like a superpower. I have this immense amount of gratitude, you know. Whenever I things seem to get a bit tough for me, or when I feel like I can't handle something, I tap into that gratitude. Like, my life is so different today than what it was before. I was in a huge amount of pain. I wasn't going anywhere. And we have a saying that gratitude is the language. And when it speaks, the heart understands. And when I tap into that gratitude, like, I feel it here. And I become grateful for the life that I have today, and for simple things, achieving simple goals, like getting my driver's license, which I never thought I'd get, you know?
Yeah.
Like applying to go study, like small little steps that I've managed to be able to take in my life today. As before, like, it was dreams and goals that I'd long ago discarded as into thinking, you know what, I'm going to die a drug addict or using drug addict. I'm never going to amount to anything. And now I'm making these little steps, and it fills my heart with so much joy. Like, I have this appreciation for life that I've never had it before.
It's an amazing superpower to have.
Can I just step in again?
Yeah.
I think another big life hack for me is, and this is the biggest one, is that I know what I have control over today and what I don't have control over today. And I let go of the things that I have no power over. And I change the things that I do have control over. And the only thing I have control over is me. You know?
And I think that's important. Self-knowledge. Actually come to a space where you say, okay, you know what? This is me and this is what I'm capable of. Everything else I'm able to handle in other ways, but not today.
Yeah.
and just being able to have that internalized knowledge and being centered and knowing who you are. I think I genuinely didn't know anything about how substance addiction works or what it is, or is it attached to mental illness. And you guys being on here right now means that it is. And to be able to meet both of you, learn so much in such a short space. I wish I could spend the day where you just hack your ears off and just talk. But I hope that for you at home, that as we talk and as we have this conversation, that you're able to find that space within you where you're able to go out and not be that person that we were talking about, that is full of judgment and is full of stigma. I would just ask that you take a moment, if you know somebody that is struggling through or in recovery, to respectfully find a space that you can actually go out. And if you yourself are struggling with an addiction, there are numbers that you can call. And we do have a number. Say you're struggling with certain mental illnesses, you're feeling suicidal or things are going on. There's a number on your screen right now that you can actually call, and somebody will be on the other side to assist you. We also have a Facebook group where you can actually connect with us and connect with other people that are following us, and you can learn a bit more about the show. It is Mental Matters, and it's on Facebook. Mental Matters Courage, I think. But it is on your screen, so if I'm saying the wrong thing, please do follow what is on the screen. And you can email us as well on the Gmail address, mentalmatterscourage@gmail.com. I wanted to just one last thing. When I spoke about the person on the street, that is like the tail end of somebody's struggle. Do you think that we as a community are doing enough to try and understand and get people Because I know you don't speak for everybody that has that has the you know the condition or the addiction, the substance addiction, but it's always good to hear from somebody who's been there or has had the journey, what their thoughts are.
I think the biggest or the biggest problem that the public service is at the moment is there's a lot of they're doing a fantastic job with primary rehabilitation, and it's easy for an addict. Speaking for myself, it was very easy to get over the chemical addiction to the substance, but it was the psychological addiction that was very difficult, and that doesn't happen with primary rehabilitation. You know, the primary rehabilitation is just when you stop craving a drug, but the thing is about not going back. So it's about finding a new way to live. It's the ongoing treatment. That's the most important thing.
So a question, say you used to actively take substance. When you stop, do you stop becoming an addict, or are you always in recovery the rest of your life?
Always in recovery.
Always
You know,
in recovery.
always an addict. You know,
Okay.
always an addict. And being an addict doesn't mean that it's not about the substance. It's about trying to escape your reality, not dealing with feelings, not dealing with life on life's terms kind of thing. And I can use anything. Substances might be my primary, primary
Yeah.
addiction, but it could be sex, it could be work, it could be relationships, it could be gambling, it could be anything out there.
Yeah.
Not anything to get to escape my reality, to get outside myself.
I've got a minute with you guys now. Is there anything that you would like to say about addiction that has been misconstrued, that you want to set the record straight in, say, 30 seconds?
I think that a lot of people think that, like Warren said earlier, that addicts somehow have a choice, but when we're using, we actually don't have a choice. We are powerless. Like the drug is controlling us, and whatever behaviors we have or whatever things we do wrong, it kind of look at the disease of the addiction and not the person. It's not a moral issue. Yeah.
So it's been wonderful speaking to you guys. And I just want to reiterate at home, call the number on your screen if you'd like to talk to somebody. And also, if you know somebody that's battling addiction, just try and learn more before judging. It's been wonderful being with you today. It's been wonderful having you guys in studio.
Thanks for having us.
I hope to see you again on the next show. Thank you.